me know if I'm clearly audible in the chat box. Can you just give me a hi, hello, or anything so that I can just confirm that I'm clearly audible to everyone? Yes, Raghav says yes. Okay, cool. Shala, Safna, Vipita, Shruti. Yes, great. Okay, so I hope everyone is awake and you are shedding the lazy Sunday and ready to listen to the webinar. We have quite an interesting resource person today who have joined. Okay, so without any much delay, we would be beginning this particular session. If you have any doubts, any questions and all, you can use the chat box. Please feel free to respond in the chat box as much as possible. We would love to respond to that. Okay, so host, if you are good to go, then you can give me an on-air heads up and we can begin.
Yes, sir, let's start the session.
Thank you. So hello, everyone. Welcome to this live session on architecture as a career choice. So I think when students are reaching the class 10th, 11th, 12th, and all, this is the phase wherein they start thinking about their career choices, right? And which are the most common career choices that you have heard? Let me know in the chat box. What are the most common career choices that students usually take? Or even I think some of the parents have also joined. So what are the usual career choices that we hear a lot about? Which are the ones that is most common? Yes, Sai Nikhil starts with B.Tech engineering, right? That's one of the most common, or probably the you see in every nook and corner an engineer, right? Ammu, yes, engineering. Yes, Sharat says medicine, correct. Doctor, medicine, nursing, right, correct. BCom, commerce, that's another wonderful profession, right? Yes, that is correct. So basically you have MBA, yes, business. That's again something that's coming up. Probably with the launching of Shark Tank and all, we'll have a lot more entrepreneurs and startups that are coming up, right? Yes. So whatever be the career choice that you're taking, ultimately what is more important is to have the awareness about that. If you have an awareness, if you have the knowledge that is required, you can probably make a good apt choice. And that is what exactly we are trying to do here. We're not saying that any other career options are bad, good, and anything of that sort. But we want you people to be completely aware about architecture also as a career choice. Okay, there is something called as architecture. What are the various exams that you have to write to ensure that you reach architecture colleges? Or what are the various streams that you should take to ensure that you can reach architecture colleges or write the architecture entrance exams? That's one first step that we need to discuss about. Another thing that we need to discuss about is which are the good colleges? How do you get into it? When you get in, what do you get to learn? And when you learn and get out, what are the possible opportunities? Like what are the jobs? What are the job roles that you will be doing? So this information, having this particular information is of utmost importance. And that information and that knowledge will always give you the power. It'll have that access and opportunity that you require. With this particular session, that's what we are aiming to. Okay, so for that, we have a wonderful resource person who have joined with us today, Sachin sir. Sachin is basically having more than 5 years of experience in this particular field. He has done his architecture education from TKM College of Engineering, Kollam. And after that, he went on to complete his education from one of the most prestigious colleges that you can get into in this country, CEPT University. So I think with experience in colleges and also in the education industry and also working in the field, I think he's the right apt person to share about all these things. This particular live session, we have split it into two. The larger part of it will be where Sachin sir would be speaking to all of you. If you have any questions, queries and all, you might already be having some questions and all, you can note it down. And through the session, as Sachin sir is taking you forward, if there are any further questions that are coming up, you can keep it aside. We'll have a separate Q&A session after this. Okay, so without much delay, let me take this opportunity to welcome Sachin sir. Sachin sir, am I audible?
Yes, Suraj, you are.
Okay, so the stage is all yours, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Suraj, for inviting me for this session. And I'm also equally happy and excited to meet a lot of students because this is when I almost 10 years back when I started my career or my life into architecture is the time when you guys also might be doing it. So thank you so much, Suraj, and thank you for Think Institute also for giving me an opportunity to explain or to get a good opportunity to talk to the students as well. Suraj, I'm just sharing the screen. Let me know if it's clear and loud.
Sure, please.
Is the presentation clear?
Yes, sir. You can go ahead.
Audio and video. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So welcome everyone. We are having a very amazing, small brief intro about how the architecture career is all about. What is your going to be your academic studies? What is that you have to do in 5 years? Because it's a very big investment of your own time, because you are, you have to dedicate yourself for the 5 years to complete bachelor's in architecture. And after that, what are your career options you have? What are your post-graduation study options, further study options you have? What are the kind of jobs you could get into? What is your exact work profile? These are the concepts that I would like to cover today. So if you have any doubts or anything at all, please feel free. I'll be very happy to answer all your questions and queries. And please feel anything to put on the chat box, and we will take it up from there. So coming to the picture of what architecture is, before I start, can I just quickly ask, what is the background of the students? Like, are they from 10th standard, 11th standard, or somebody can quickly answer them on the chat box? Yeah, I see a lot of 12th standard and 11th standard students. Good. That's great. Very excited to meet you also. And I assume that might be some parents as well. I hope I can make this as clear as possible to you also. Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So before I start, I'll just briefly tell you what I have done. After I completed my 12th in math, science, etc. And then I went on for the bachelor's in my architecture course. I did it from TKM College of Engineering, Kollam. It was an amazing 5 years. I should admit it. The life was, it was very exciting and challenging as well. And after that, I went to Delhi to work for International Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage, which is an architectural organization as well, where I worked in the architectural division, where we contributed to urban projects, etc. And then I went to master's into advanced learning into urban infrastructure, where large-scale urban projects are handled, and we took it from there. And after that, I started working for an Australian company called SMEC. It was an amazing opportunity. And after that, currently I'm working for PwC, where I work as an associate in management consulting, where we consult about the infrastructure buildings and infrastructure development and all those things. So this is my very brief, introduction about myself. And now going ahead, I would like to quickly raise a few questions to you. Like, what do you know about architecture? Or who are architects? Or if you have heard of what is COA or Council of Architecture or NATA examination or such things. Can we quickly have some small intro on chat? What is architecture, or what are your understanding about architecture? It can be short. You can even say that buildings, yes, designing spaces, structural designer, construction. Can I have more answers? Yeah, designing of buildings, combination of art and science. Yeah, great. Yes, you guys are actually correct. You are in the right direction. So architecture is mostly about, I should say, it's a combination of art. So you have a creative side in your life where you need to be creative in thought process. You need to always innovate something new to this world, and how you contribute for your creative sides, and you bring in new additions or design into the world. Along with that, you need to have an engineering aspect where you actually combine the engineering field, or if you might be quite familiar with civil engineering part, or how you design buildings. And architecture is mostly about how you combine art and engineering together. And that's how you actually define, let's say in a very holistical perspective, that how you define architecture. So architecture is not only about engineering, and it's not only about art also. I think we need to be very clear on that, because it's a combination. No, you are not pure artist. You are not doing fine arts course. Neither you are doing an engineering course. So that is the kind of challenge you have to come up with. So you have to cover up both aspects, and how you come up with new buildings and etc. And architects, yes, of course, after you complete 5 years in architecture, you have to actually register yourself with the Council of Architecture, that is COA. And after your registration, you get a license to practice in India as an architect. So with the license, along with comes a lot of responsibilities and a lot of aspects that you can cover up with. So just to bring you a very brief understanding, like you might be very familiar with these buildings like Burj Khalifa or Taj Mahal or in Trivandrum Padmanabha Swami Kshetram. So if you look at this, these are very iconic structures. These buildings have created an impression not only to you but also the whole world. I'm sure that you might be familiar. Am I right? Yeah, I hope everybody is familiar with these buildings. So what do you think makes these buildings unique? Like something like you always remember, or the world, they keep on saying that yes, Taj Mahal, like it's almost like an icon. So what you are designing today is tomorrow's history. So that is what architecture is mostly about. When you are defining something, you are building history there. You are creating something completely new. And your design skill and your ability to come out with innovative ideas can make you a great architect in this world. So this is what mostly about architecture is how you are able to contribute. And this is exactly how you contribute to the society also. Like you are bringing in an identity. Like let's say that even if it is a very small house that you're designing, you are designing something, a history, a family history you are creating. You are defining that, and it is there, going to be there for a very long time of time. So in design process, this is exactly how you do. Whatever you do stays there, and it should stay there, and it should create an impression. So this is how an architect generally grows, how you actually see the world tomorrow. So going further ahead, this is a very small GIF image. I just found it from internet, but there's a clear idea about how you define spaces. So now, along with how you define the exterior spaces, you also have to design the interior spaces. You have to reorganize the structure. So you look at all the different levels in this building. Where can our parking space be? Where can the living room be? Where can the playground area be? And where should the lighting come up with? So all those small aspects that you put in place, and then it's like a puzzle. You try to fit the bedroom with the toilet, the kitchen, the etc. Small puzzles that you combine together to create a form, and that form defines your architectural design. And the whole building is designed based on that form. So it's like almost like a puzzle solving. Plus, along with the functionality, like I said, you have to bring your creative side out. So how the innovatively can you design this puzzle in such a manner that it is completely new in this world? So this is how your career in architecture also is going to be, because this is what you have to do. This is how you can create an impression in this world. Going ahead, this is a very sectorial image, section views, where you can see how the building, we might see the building as a whole or from the outside, but there are a lot of aspects that goes inside, even the smallest of the smallest rooms, that may be a storeroom or a small toilet, from the large conference room or an auditorium. You have to ensure all these comes into foreplay in a good fashion. Now, going ahead, this is a very small video I wanted to show you guys. So it's an ill-organized build form, and how the build form is disturbing our life cycle. So you can see that the person is not able to have a proper wardrobe area, or the plug point is not near his phone. Follow. So these kind of, these are some of mistakes that we design and we make a design. So an architect actually resolve these issues, and they come out with better solutions. So you redesign the room, you kind of make the room a little more lighter, spacious. And now you can see that once a room is designed, or it has been functionally resolved, the issues which he had before has been resolved over the period of time. So now his phone is there and the lightings are also there. Yeah. So now going ahead, this is also one of a similar example of the video I wanted to show, so that you have an understanding of how architect works or how the designs are being reorganized. You can see the height is not sufficient, or the wardrobe is very high, the plates are very high. So now you can see that once a room is organized and very well designed, the whole process becomes easy and efficient. So now going ahead, students, if you have any doubts on the fact, please feel free to ask. Please put your queries on the chat box. Now going ahead, now generally, like when students come, they have this very common question or they doubt, like what is the difference between an architect and a civil engineer? Or what is the difference? What is the difference that they do? What is special about architects and what is special about civil engineers? So I just wanted to, since it's a very general question, I wanted to clarify this. So in civil engineering, you actually do design of structure where you know about columns and structures, right? So if you see these columns or beams, structures, and how much of steel is required, how much of concrete is required to ensure that the building is stable and it is enough structured form that it simply doesn't fall on the ground when you design it. But an architect, he doesn't generally observe how the whole structural part is. He actually ensures that the design and the functionality of the space, the quality of the room is to a very vibrant figure. And the aesthetics is very well connected, and the cantilevers, the etc. of these particles and parts of the buildings are very well organized to ensure that the person perceiving the building or somebody seeing the building, he has an impression on his mind that, wow, this is something different. This is something good from where. So when you, as a civil engineer, you have to ensure the building is in structural stabilized, it is in correct form. And when you are an architect, you have to ensure that the building also creates an impression, an aesthetic view to the eyesight. So that's a fundamental difference between a civil engineer and architect. And also in civil engineering, you have to go deeper about railways, construction of roads, bridges, and all those things. While in architecture, you don't actually go to construction of dams or bridges, etc., but you actually focus completely on buildings and build forms. So that is exactly an architect defines himself. Now I just want to quickly take through how your course is going to be, or once you start bachelor's in architecture. So I still remember my first semester was to design a small cafe. So where he had to, even this was very small space with one reorganizing of structure. We just have to ensure very minor detailing of the cafe is there, so that it's a starting process. So that's how you start your architecture studies. So in the first 1 or 2 semesters, you will be doing small projects. In the second semester, when you go to a little more small scale projects, such as residential buildings or a small commercial gymnasium, or maybe a small clubhouse. So these are then second level or second semester to third semester kind of projects that you have to complete. And in third semester, you have to come to a large scale project like hotels, hospitals, those kind of large scale buildings. So now you might be confused, like what is this project, or what is that first semester, second semester. So in architecture, generally there are 10 semesters, and in the current market, around 8 semesters you have to be in college, and every semester you have to complete one project. And that is the basic design or the architectural design studio, which is having the most maximum value to your academic marks. So if you want to get more marks, your major focus should be on project delivery. So on this project, you have to actually come up with every semester, you have to come up with new ideas, you have to come up with innovative solutions to design, and your professors will sit with you and figure out how it can be sorted out in a better fashion. And then you will be trained to design, and then over the period of time, your scale of the buildings increases. Like I said, in the first semester, you have the small cafes to residential buildings, and then the hospitals and schools, and etc. And in the fourth semester, you have to do an internship, and also sometimes, depending upon the university, there is internship, and maybe sometimes you have a urban level project also. So in internship is like after you complete your 6 semesters, generally you have to go and work with an architectural firm. So you actually have an on-ground experience. So it is generally 6 to 12 months, completely depending upon university to university, but 6 months is a mandatory. You have to do 1 semester as a mandatory internship program. So this is where you actually come to the real field. So after your 3 years or 6 semesters in architecture, you actually have to do this internship. So you actually go to a firm, you work with them. So you really know what architects does and how the design process really happens on ground or in the field. So not only academic, but also in the field. And then you have this urban level project in where you have to actually come up with a little more larger scale, where you have to completely evolve yourself into a whole designing of a city or a whole designing of an urban space or an urban design concept. So that is a larger scale project again. And after that, you also have the thesis. And again, depending upon university, you will have some internship also, but thesis is also a mandatory thing. So in thesis, like unlike the other four projects that you did, the other 8 semesters that you covered, in thesis, you have to do this completely on yourself, from the case study to the project delivery. So if you might be having like doubts, like what is case study, what is site study? So in design process, we generally first we go look at a building. Let's say that you are asked to design a cafe, or let's say you are asked to design a house. So first you have to go see a house, a real house, and how it has been designed and what were its faults as a design. So you understand the case, you understand the case study, and then you go and see your site. So where you have to design it. So where you have to put your building structural form and how the site itself, like whether the wind direction is correct, whether lighting is correct, where does the sun rise, where does the sun set, what are the seasons coming into the picture, what is a rainy season and how we can cover that, what is a winter season, summer season. So all the site aspects that you have to study, and with a site study and the case study, and then comes a design study. So where you have to really go to the standards of it. So there are these international standards and calibrations that you actually have. Let's say that the bedroom should be 10 feet by 10 feet. So those numbers are not coming out from nowhere, but even over the years it's been practiced. So you have to do a design study also. So with these 3 concepts, that is site study, case study, and a design study, and then only you actually start designing your own build structure. So this is a basic studio curriculum that you have to follow for all the semesters. And when it comes to your thesis, you have to do it completely by yourself, and it's complete your own project also. So now again, coming to the picture, like generally, let's say that there are 40 students in the class, there'll be 40 different answers to the question and nobody is wrong. So that is how unique this course is also about. So you actually have to design your own build structures, right? So let's say the professor is giving you a question and the question has 40 different answers. So that's how unique you have to come up with. So like I said, when we started this presentation, the Taj Mahal or the Burj Khalifa, or anything that is there in this world today, which has created an impression. So that is the uniqueness that you have to bring up with. So in your class, you have to deal with them. You have to deal with these 40 different studios. And that is also a task as well as an opportunity for you. Now, coming to an architectural student life, so we have a lot of models to make. Like once we design the build forms, you have to create its own physical models. Sometimes you have to do renderings, you have to do sketchings, you have to come up with new ideas. So again, generally students ask, like, sir, that I don't have a lot of drawing skill, but I still want to design build forms. Am I still good at it? So yes, I would completely agree to that you don't need to be a very good artist, because like I said, when it all started, it's not only the artist that comes in picture, but also the engineering side. It's a combination between them. So nowadays, especially in today's world, you need not even sketch anything because we have computers, we have advanced softwares like AutoCAD, SketchUp, Revit. So these softwares help us in putting our designs into paper, into a realistic images. So just like these rendered images on the side here, you can see there are these images that has been come up with internet or with from the laptop, our own laptop production. It's not something that we had to sketch, but it is always good to have a sketching skill also, so that you can always represent faster and efficient. But it's not a mandatory thing. You can always design, because even from the first semester onwards, you are actually getting a course on how it should be done. What are your line scanning? Like everything will be detailed out for you. You have to learn over the period of time. So you will learn, and it is mostly about engineering drawing, so which you can eventually learn by with practice. So never be bothered about if you have a little bit of backband on your drawing skills, you can always cover it up in your career. So that shouldn't be a problem to go ahead. Now, again, coming to your life of an architecture student, I don't know, you might have seen the YouTube videos or you might have read about it. Yes, architecture is not fun. If you look at the time, you have to study or you have to, do your sketches. So when I said it's not fun, it's not, let me correct it. Let me correct it this way. It's actually a lot more fun than you can actually think about, because in architecture, when you have to do something, like it's not like a 9 to 5 job. It's not like something that you can just start at one particular time and end it at one particular time. So it is a complete course where, like, let's say that even when you are going to sleep, you will be thinking about that room that I designed, whether did I keep the table correctly? Did I keep the bench correctly? Or can I put some lighting there? Can I put some other lighting there? Can I give blue color here? Can I give red color there? You will always be thinking. And mostly, more than a job, this is a passion. So it's almost like, I would say that, let me put it this way, like when we were in our studios, when I was in my bachelor's and my master's studies, we used to have loud music, we used to have all kinds of fun going on around here, but we were concentrated on what we are doing. So we have to actually focus ourselves to what we are doing, and that is how the passion comes in the picture. So no matter what distractions you have around you, your passion defines you. So if you have a career, if you think that you are good in architecture, if you think that you need to do something to bring out innovation, you want to bring out something new to this world through designing of buildings, this is a case where you actually have to be not working, but you're actually doing what you love to do. And there is this very famous screenplay by Arundhati Roy, in which Annie gives it those ones. It's about an SPA Delhi student and how the life of a career. I would suggest that you should watch this screenplay. It's available on YouTube. It will give you a better, more picture also about how the career is all about, or the classes, or the 5 years of your course is going to be. So I want you to have a clear understanding of what you are taking up, because sometimes you have to sit at late nights and overnight. Sometimes you have to do overnight work, but I never felt that it is like a work, because we are passionate towards it. We sit together and we figure out things and we draw and sketch and design stuff. So it's always fun that we are going to do. Now, coming to the most famous colleges, national level, we have the School of Planning and Architecture in Delhi. We have CEPT University, Ahmedabad. These are some of the lists coming from the national ranking scale. In Kerala state level, also NIT Calicut, CET Trivandrum, TKM Engineering College, and international level also, we have a lot of universities coming to the picture. You can always try to get into these best colleges, but it's not only the colleges that matter, but also your passion, which is the most important here. Now, again, these are some pictures from my college life. So I just wanted to show it so that you have a better understanding. Like some of these physical models, like we have to make to come up with designs. And we also have a lot of activities going on. And our studio spaces used to be like this, where we have to sit and sketch. Sometimes we have to develop our own designs and all those things. And also the design review, like professors sit with you one-to-one, because it's not like an answer sheet where you actually type a test and then you give an answer sheet and the professor can sit somewhere else and kind of mark you as. It doesn't work that way here. So he has to sit with you, and that's how you actually design things, because you have to be engaged with them. You have to have a one-to-one interaction with them. So that is how involved these professors are also in your studios. And yes, other than that, we also have a lot of activities and a lot of artwork, creativity that we do other than project studios and etc. Now this is a very small list of famous Indian architects here, and I'm sure you can read about them in Google and etc. And I just want to highlight one thing, that B.V. Doshi is a very famous architect in India. He's the first Indian to win the Pritzker Prize. So Pritzker Prize is like a Nobel Prize of the world, given for architects. As an Indian, he was the first Indian to win it, and his life and history has been marvelous throughout in Indian architectural scenario. So you can always go read about these architects, and not only them, but also others, even in Kerala scale or even the state level, in the national level, international level architects also. So you will understand their life too. So if you read about a little bit of more of them, you can also understand how their life has been and how it has been growing over a period of time. So I just wanted to give you this understanding also. Now coming to the job prospects, so let me put it directly this way. There is always two plates, okay? And the first plate is always your own passion. So like I said, your 5 years of career, you actually are purely involved into the class, right? So you want to start your own architectural consultancy firm. So that is might be one of the most required passion. But along with that, we also have these government sector companies where even from the Indian Army to ISRO, PWD, Airport Authority of India, a lot of government options have these government jobs where we do policy making and governance. So when I come to policy making, let me put it like that, like I said, the design ideas or the design standards, every country designs have their own standards, like the airport design, the launch should be of this much capacity, or those policy making is done by the government sector companies. So even if you work for the government urban planning division, where you're hired as an architect, or PWD division, you design, you make policy fundamentally. And when it comes to private companies, you really work on the projects that you take up a, let's say you have to design a metro city, or you have to design a airport, then you really come to the realistic point of view where you actually design. Then along with that, there are also small companies or small architectural firms who do very wonderful work, and famous architects are always from the small firms. And you can also work with them. You can select your own architect and then work with them for a brief period of time to have an understanding of how architects are. And you can also design and evolve your own pattern or your own design platform into it. So these are the options that we have as a career option. Now, after architecture career options also, I'll just quickly go through it without wasting much of time. So after architecture, you can always do a master's in architecture. And along with that, you also have urban design. Let's say that you are more inclined towards not just buildings, but also urban space or urban, like a market or like a public park. So those things are designed by urban designers. So you can have a master's in urban design. And or if you want to do a master's in landscape, so landscape is more like a planting or your small designing of your green patterns, or your garden or those things. So there are also large scale parks, or you might know about jungle parks, or like zoo. So those things are done by landscape architects where they design the environment around. So that is also a career option which you can focus. And then there is something on interior design. So after architecture, you can also go for interior designing, where you design the interiors of a building, or detail out. And that's also very famous. You might be very well aware of that. Then you can also go into advanced design or product design, where you have to design small, from a small pen to a small, keychain or a phone, or anything of product design. You can also do a master's in advanced product design, etc. in architecture after architecture. Then if you like the history or the conservation point, so like we said, like the historical buildings are to be conserved and preserved. So there is also a lot of options for if you want to study about the history of buildings, and there's conservation and history also into that the buildings have evolved over a period of time, especially in India, where we have a very diverse and large historical traditions. This is also very, very large industry where you can work with. Then is also a coming booming industry of green architecture or building performance, where you have to ensure that your buildings are environmentally friendly and etc. And we have the construction management, where construction management is also like advanced masters in construction management, where you actually ensure the building is built in a very faster scale. It's more inclined towards a civil engineering aspect, but as an architect you can also do a master's in construction management as well. And then yes, of course, there's this urban planning where I have also mastered, I've done my master's into. So where we actually design the whole city. Let's say that the whole Bangalore city, or let's say the whole Trivandrum city. So where you actually design each spaces one by one, and then you come up with solutions so that the people feel more friendly towards it. Like let's say that where should the market should be placed? Where in the city should there be a garden, or where should all the residential or the houses should be kept? So these areas or industrial parks ideally should be parked away from the residential buildings. So these things are designed and evolved over even urban planning. And even in urban planning, there are a lot of detailing aspects like such as transportation planning, such as urban housing, regional planning, environmental planning, or even urban infrastructure. So there are a lot of options that you have in career as well after architecture course. And along with all this, you have a lot of attitude towards growing your own passion into architectural consultants as well. So I just quickly, I know it's a very fast forward presentation, so I didn't want to keep you bored for quite long. So that's why I just quickly gone through all this. Now, please feel free to ask your questions, and I'll be very happy to answer them for your career choices. And after this, we also have Suraj, who's also answering all your questions related to exams and etc. So if you have some kind of career questions, or you want to know how an architect lives, or what are the general salaries, or what are the architectural firms that is there, please feel to ask. Feel free to ask. Yeah. So the first question has come: will there be a semester exams during internship or just internship? Yeah, so internship is like I said, you have to work with an architectural firm. So the architectural firm, they actually take you in, and then they board you. They give you some work related to architecture, what they are already doing. So you have to design. You may get to design. You will have to do some CAD work. You'll have to draw something, and then after that, you have to combine all your work that you did in the firm, and then you give it back to the university. And then the university, there won't be an exam where you have to sit and write something, but it's rather like a discussion, just like that we're having now. So the professor will ask you, Acharya, what did you design in the during your internship? How was it benefit for you? And etc. So you have to answer a very basic questions, understanding. It's like a viva or something. It's not an examination exactly like that. Now we have one more question. Is it more tough to get a job in this field compared to others? Well, I will very frankly tell you, there is nothing hard or easy about anything in life. We all have to work out for it. So you won't get any easy job, or you won't get any hard job also. It completely depends on your passion, how you want to enrich your career, or how good are you in your passion. Like if you're really passionate about this course, if you're really putting an effort to bring an innovation in the world, you don't really need a job itself. You can actually start your own architectural consultancy firm. So that's how different this course is from the other courses that we have in the market. And getting a job, it's always challenging when it comes to better companies and better famous architects. If you want to work under BB Doshi, yes, it is going to be a little tough. You have to be really, really innovative and creative to come up with that. But yes, I would never say it's hard compared to any other field, because like I said, it's your passion that you do. Even if it is a very small company you're working for, you are doing your own passion. So I don't think it's like a mandatory thing to come up with. The next question is landscape architecture same as sustainable architecture? GBNF asked this question. So GB, landscape architecture and sustainable architecture are very different and very diverse. So landscape architecture, like I just quickly take you that slide that I showed you. So landscape is like you design the environment around it, like the garden or the park. Which tree should there be a mango tree here, or should there be a coconut tree here? So that's the kind of landscape that we're doing. Or should I keep a small water fountain here, or should I keep a small pool here? So that is landscape. You are designing the green pastures around you. And in sustainable architecture, you actually not only landscape architecture, you are actually doing the buildings in a sustainable manner. Let's say that instead of using cement or a lot of cement, you are using mud to build your house. So when you're using mud to build your house, you are ensuring this, because cement, when you're manufacturing cement, there's a lot of carbon footprint. Like you have to burn a lot of water, you have to burn a lot of carbon, and there's a lot of environmental pollution that you're doing. So you are doing sustainable design by ensuring something, or you're taking something from around or the nearby, or something which is natural in this world. So when you do something with natural thing, it's called as more sustainable architecture. It's also like you are like, instead of designing the building with air conditioning, you can also design in such a manner that natural wind directions are there. So if you design it along with natural wind direction, then naturally there'll be a lot of airflow, and you may not need an air conditioning. So that is the difference between a sustainable architecture and landscape architecture. Now, the next question, is there any scholarship provision for NATA qualified students for college fee? Yeah, so NATA is like an entrance exam. So where it's like it's a basic criteria that you have to qualify. So NATA is like National Aptitude Test for Architecture. So it's like you have to have an aptitude. So it is not like a gate exam or like a ranking exam where you'll be ranked directly. Rather, you are given certain points. You are given a cutoff. Like let's say that I am writing the NATA examination, and there is a minimum mark to qualify. And if you don't have that minimum marks, that means you don't have an aptitude toward architecture naturally or a passion towards architecture. And then you may not be able to even join for a course in India. Most of the universities take based on NATA examination is a basic criteria. While there are some universities which takes with their own exams as well, but NATA is a basic qualification required to have this exam. But then NATA or cracking NATA is never difficult, because if you have a little bit of passion, because it's testing your aptitude, not your not an exam where you have to do some mathematical problems or tough physics question, nothing like that. It will be very basic questions and your aptitude. And in Think Institute, we have a very wonderful coaching for NATA examinations where we give you a understanding about how to evolve your aptitude and in a very creative manner. So you can always inquire for that also.
Sachin,
And
yeah, just to add to that, I think yeah, we'll have the next part would be wherein we discuss about these exams, and also I would give all the participants a detailed view on NATA exam, JEE paper 2, and also don't worry about that to everyone. Yes.
Yeah. Sure. So then the next question is, sir, I've just completed my degree course. Is there a problem that I join architecture? Arya, it's never a problem. If you are very passionate about architecture, you can always do an architectural career. And see, if you want to join architecture, you can have a 5-year course. But now that you have already completed your design course, you can also think what exactly architecture you want to do. Whether you want to do a 5-year course, or you want to do something more into a design aspect. So just like Suraj has mentioned, in Think Institute, we also have a lot of design courses. So if maybe to understand your passion, we can have a 1-to-1 session where we can understand what exactly you're passionate about, and then go for a 5-year course of architecture, or maybe a 2 years master's in design also. So it needs a lot of more discussion and understanding what your passion towards, and then you can join. But for your question, it's never a problem. You can always join architecture. Which is the best way to reach architecture, so as B.Arch and other? Thakur, so the best way to be an architect, yes, of course, it's through B.Arch only. And that is after completing of B.Arch only, you get a registration or you get a Council of Architecture membership, and you can call yourself as a registered architect. So that is always the best way to be an architect. And if that's exactly your question, if I am correct, let me know. Otherwise, yes, that's all we have to say on that. Is it wise to take a product design after architecture college? Ashya, there is a lot of students who complete architecture, because architecture is like a proper bachelor's degree, which is recognized in India. So like I said, there's a lot of government jobs, like a lot of private jobs. You can just simply apply for if you're completing bachelor's in architecture. So it is the best decision that you can ever do, that you do an architecture and then you want to go product designing, you can go a master's into product designing. But if you're very clear that you want to do product designing itself, then you can also go for B design courses in, there are a lot of universities in India, ranking wise also, there are a lot of universities where you can actually have this design as a bachelor's degree itself, where you don't need an architectural course. So just think about it, try to evolve beyond yourself. Like in Think also, we have a lot of career guidance where we can actually help you in understanding what your real goals are in life and what your real passion is. And then you can take a challenge, and then you can take a career choice, whether you want to go for architecture or you want to go for product designing. Sir, what is product design? I'll just quickly take you to that slide when I showed you. So you can see here, it was Abhinav. Yeah. So Abhinav, product designing is like, see, let's say that you have a mobile phone. Okay. You have to design in such a manner that it is mass produced, and you have a very small product which is mass produced, like lakhs and thousands of products are designed. So that is exactly what a product designing is. So you have to come to the very minor detailed aspect, like even from a doorknob. So as an architect, you actually have to start designing from a doorknob to a complete house or a complete building. So in architecture, product designing is a very part inner core of it, while in product designing, it's more going to detail, very much detail on how you can design each products. And even a Pepsi bottle is very designed in that manner. Are there any other exams? So exams part will be covered by Suraj. Please, we'll wait for that. What is conservation of history architects? Okay. So I believe that you are asking about conservation architecture. I'll just quickly go through it. So conservation is like, let's say that Taj Mahal. Okay. It's a very historic building. It has made an evolution or a complete change to this world, right? Like we all know what Taj Mahal is, and India itself is known as Taj Mahal. So, that kind of buildings, obviously it will erode over a period of time, right? Like let's say that you might have heard about how the marble is getting yellow colored because of the acid rain that is happening in and around Agra city. So you can see that, so those things will naturally happening, and the beauty is destroying over a period of time. So when you are a conservation architect, you try to understand why it was designed in such a manner and how the materials were evolved and why it is important to preserve that material and how we can preserve the material and how we can ensure our history is sustained and is very well documented into it. So these are the kind of architectural conservation things that you come into picture. So, and this is what architectural conservation is about. So even during your 5 years of curriculum, you have to learn a lot of history of architecture, Indian history, even the international history of architecture, where you actually understand the historical evolution of buildings. And that is also very much part and parcel of the curriculum. Sir, what jobs can be done after architecture? So, Shruti, what jobs, like I already said, there are a lot of government jobs along with private jobs here. You have to work as an architect. You can also, after architecture, you can work as several other jobs also. Nowadays, I know one of my friend who was very much into UI UX design, where you're actually designing a complete software also to develop models for architecture. So it's not just architects that you just don't have to build only buildings every time. You can also go in the software field to any other field where designing is a part and parcel. So there are a lot of job opportunities that you can actually evolve into after architecture course. So do we have any types of placements? So Thakur, it's completely depends on university to university. Some universities have placements and some of them do not have placements, and some of them we have to directly apply. Like let's say, for example, very famous architects generally don't go to any particular university to hire students. Let's say that very classic example that you want to work with B.V. Doshi. So B.V. Doshi's firm is not going to come to your college. I have never heard he is going to any college for that matter. So you have to apply to them. So it depends upon what your requirements are and which university you are going to. And obviously in a corporate sector, you will have a lot of placements happening for architects as well, where you can be placed into consulting sector. And it depends on university to university. Nahan, is it easy to get in for NITs for architecture? I believe that's a question, right? NIT. So yeah, easy or tough, Nahan, it's completely depending on your skill. There is exams which you have to clear, which Suraj will explain to you over a period of time. I see a lot of questions, and if the admin can actually shortlist a few, it will be very easy. I'm just taking one of the questions. Sir, I'm an artist. I'm really confused to choose my higher studies. So Fazil, if you're an artist, you want to choose your higher studies, you have to actually do your artist work only, right? But if you want to choose between what to choose, like being an architect or being an artist, you want to go to product designing, or you want to do interior designing, or you want to do urban designing. There are a lot of options. So I just explained all the provisions that we have in architecture. And being an artist also, you have to take up your own passion, and then you can choose what you want to do. There are a lot of courses that we have. an average package offered at CEPT placement for B.Arch. So see, placements are very much diverse, and after B.Arch, it starts from student to student perspective. So I cannot simply say an average placement because every year they keep on changing, and generally it comes from student to student basis, and which firm, or sometimes you could be in a very good firm but earning very less, but sometimes could be in a small firm yet you could be earning a lot more. So it completely depends upon firm to firm and student to student and college to college. There's one more question. The placements really depend upon the name of your university. See, depends upon university. Some universities or colleges have their own placement cells where they ensure that you're placed to one of the classes. So it depends upon university to university. There's one more question, whether master's is compulsory to get a job. Vijnesha, no, it's never compulsory to get a job. It's completely depending upon you. And if you are very passionate about being an architect, you don't need a master's. With bachelor's itself, you can always evolve. One of my friends have started his own firm and he's very successful in it. So you don't really need a master's. It's not a mandatory thing. But master's helps you to fine tune your skill. Let's say that you want to do master's in architecture itself, then it helps you to fine tune. It helps you to little more improvise your own skill set. That's all a master's does. And also, if you want to go into a slightly different field, like urban planning or product designing or interior designing, it master's helps you to achieve that. There's one more question, Devika. Sir, what do you think about doing architecture abroad? Could you please discuss about that? Yeah. So architecture abroad. Okay, let me put it this way. So as an architect, you are actually about to be designing something for the things that is around you. Okay. So let's say that you are doing an architecture course in India. So being an architect in India, you will be able to design Indian built structures, right? Most of the times. So that is how you actually define, because you know how the Indian culture is, what are the requirements of an Indian. Let's say that we generally have our own private living room and our own private kitchen. But if you go to America or if you go to a European country, generally they have living room and kitchen combined together because they don't really, it doesn't really matter for them, they need privacy or not. So it depends on place to place. So if Devika, if you wish to say that you want to sustain in India for a very long time, and if you want to come here only, I would suggest that you do architecture here and not abroad. But if you go abroad, you will always be learning architecture in that particular country or that particular climate and that particular scenario, how you define it. So there's a whole different perspective towards it. And again, if you want to go for higher studies, or if you want to become an international architect, or if you want to go beyond your structures, yes, doing it abroad will also help you. But think about it, where you want to actually settle down and where you want to do your career or where you want to grow your career. So, and then choose, also have a choice of colleges, because the colleges helps you in that perspective as well. Yeah, sure. I will take you. Somebody has asked for the list of colleges. So list of colleges, you can always refer the ranking as well. This is just a quick understanding of my own list of colleges. You can always come up. There are a lot of Thakur, I'm saying this, other colleges as well. So Ravi has asked, can architect get government jobs? Yes, absolutely, Ravi. Like I said, there are a lot of government organizations. I think this was a slide, yeah. So like starting from Indian Army to CPWD, Central Public Works Department, or your state level PWD divisions, Airports Authority of India, planning boards, ISRO, all these government or all these policy making and governance part of them, they all have government jobs in architects as well. So that's one of the options you could say. could you kindly say about UG in interior designing and exams for it? So interior designing, there's a lot of, like I said, it's about, it is 3-year course generally, sometimes 5 years, depending upon university to university. And if you are very clear that you want to do interior designing itself, then I would say that you can go for interior designing directly. But if you are slightly confused whether you want, not sure, then I would recommend you go for architecture and then take up interior design. Okay, so I'll just close it for now. I see a lot of questions, and we also have Suraj waiting for us to have the next session. So, and thank you guys, and it's been wonderful interacting with you and answering your questions. So always feel free to, please raise your questions, and please, you can contact Institute for further contacts. And I'm just closing for now. Thank you, everyone, and have a good day.
Okay. Just a sound check before I begin. Am I audible to everyone? Can everyone just respond in the chat box? Okay, so T says yes, Arya says yes. Okay, great. So I understand there are lots of questions that are still pending. We also understand that there are some questions related to the exams and all. So I just briefly go through these exams, give you an idea, and then we'll take up the rest of the questions. Okay, we have a slight time constraint also. Okay, so when we are talking about the exams, mainly there is JEE paper 2, and then you have the NATA exams. These are the 2 exams that are conducted mainly in India. Okay, and Think Institute for the last 12 years we've been functioning, and for courses like B.Arch, B.Des, M.Des, Master of Design and all, for all these courses, the entrance exams, we've been giving coaching for all these entrance exams. Okay, now when we're going to talk about these exams, mainly we have 2 exams, JEE Mains Paper 2 and NATA. Along with that, there are 3 IITs that are actually providing for Bachelor of Architecture in IITs. Okay, so if you want to join, let's say, any of the IIT, let's say IIT Kharagpur or IIT Roorkee, then it is the architecture aptitude test that you need to write about. I'll just briefly take you through these exams, since this is not exclusively an exam session. We are not focusing that much on the examination part. Okay, so NATA, I think Sachin has briefly summed it up. National Aptitude Test in Architecture. It's purely an aptitude test. Basically, they're testing your aptitude. For the last couple of years, they haven't kept any sort of drawing papers and all. Okay, so it's usually a 3-hour exam, 200 marks. They'll have a cutoff. It's 70 that they have kept. If you score above that, then you will be eligible. You will be considered qualified. You can apply to a lot of architecture colleges. Most of the architecture colleges in India, in fact, take the NATA scores. Okay, so one of the most prestigious campuses that you can get into is the one from which Sachin has passed out. It is the CEPT University. The other one is JEE Paper 2. Paper 2A to be specific. You have mathematics, aptitude, drawing and all. It's a 3-hour exam, and it has drawing also in it. There are 400 marks on the graph, and based on your performance, based on others' performance and all, you get a percentile, you get a rank. And based on that, it is based on that you get into SPAs, School of Planning and Architecture, which is one of the most reputed colleges that are made exclusively for architecture and planning in India. You can get into that. You can get into NITs, National Institute of Technologies. You have NIT Trichy, you have NIT Calicut, NIT Rourkela. There are lots of NITs. And then the third one is IIT's Architecture Aptitude Test. So if you want to write the IIT's Architecture Aptitude Test, before that, you need to write the IIT's, you need to write the JEE Mains and Advanced. And once you clear all of that, you'll be able to write Architecture Aptitude Test. Usually it's conducted only once in a year. It's a 3-hour exam. You'll have drawing in that, you will have aptitude in that, all of these things would be there. Okay, it's basically a cutoff exam. So they'll they'll decide on a cutoff, and based on that, they'll decide whether you have got it or not. And then based on your JEE Advanced scores, they'll give you allotments. Okay, so fundamentally, these are the major 3 exams. There were some questions. I would try to answer them also while I'm going ahead. So one of them was, I think, is there any scholarship if I clear NATA? So there isn't any specific scholarship per se that's given. Like NATA is conducted by Council of Architecture. So they're only the exam conducting authority. So the scholarship and things like that basically depends upon the college that you're getting into. Or let's say, for example, the admission process that you're getting into. Every state has a different admission process that is set up. A different body would be doing it. For example, in Karnataka, you have the Comet K, who does the admissions. Then if it's Kerala, you have the KEAM admission body that is doing it. So based on colleges and based on their rules and regulations and all, it basically varies. Okay. Now, when we are talking about getting into NITs, can I get into, I think one of the questions that you'd asked was, can I get into NITs if I'm preparing for JEE paper 2? So it's very much gettable. It's very much gettable. It is something that a lot of students from our institute has got into. So it's based on the scores that you get in JEE paper 2 and rank list based on that they can get into. There's some questions about what is the cutoff for CEPT this year. So again, it is CEPT that decides on that. We are not sure what that is. They combine the marks that you have got in NATA and the 12th standard marks that you have got. Equal weightage for both of them. 50% weightage is given for the NATA exam scores and 50% weightage is given for your 12th standard examination score. You can combine both of them, you can apply and you will get a rank list. And where you stand in that particular rank is how you are going to get the seat. Okay. Now, there were students who were asking which is the subject that we should take if you want to study architecture. So if you have done your, let's say 12th standard, 10 plus, if you're doing your 12th standard, 11th, 12th and all, you need to do physics, chemistry, mathematics. That is mandatory. If you're doing your diploma, then you need to do your mathematics. Mathematics has to be a subject in that. Okay. So these are mainly the criteria that we had set, that they have set. Any information about JEE session 1 paper 2 results? I'm not sure about that. I think NTA will have to talk about that. Mainly these are the major colleges that you can get into: School of Planning and Architecture, National Institute of Technologies, CEPT and IITs. So if you're talking about SPAs, you have 3 campuses: School of Planning and Architecture at Delhi, Bhopal and Vijayawada. Okay. You get into by writing the JEE paper 2 in that. Okay. So SPA Delhi is probably the most sorted out campus in that particular exam, and NIT Calicut also has been very much in the top league, even in the rankings, NIRF rankings also. Okay. Then if we talk about NITs, not all NITs have architecture. I think there are around 30 NITs if my memory is correct, but only 9 NITs you have the architecture exam. Adrija is asking, can we apply for SPA with NATA score? You cannot. For SPAs and NITs, the scores that is accepted is JEE paper 2's score. So not score, actually, it's percentile. Based on that percentile, you get a rank. Exams are conducted twice in a year. So based on that, the best score would be taken. And with respect to that, you can apply. There will be a common counseling that will be conducted. Okay. Then, sorry, you have IITs, IIT Kharagpur, Varanasi and Roorkee. 3 IITs provide these courses. So you have to write JEE mains, you have to write JEE advanced, and you have to write the architecture aptitude test if you have qualified the previous exams and all. Okay. If there are any further questions with respect to this, you can please feel free to post it. I would be taking them one by one. Okay. So I think these were some of the things that we had to discuss about these exams and all. If there are any questions that I haven't taken, I did go up a little bit and see the questions that were pending. If you want, if you're comfortable in English, Hindi or Malayalam, whichever language you're comfortable in, you can put your questions. We would be happy to respond. Okay. I think there are questions on which are the best private colleges, and also regarding college reviews, we have a lot of students in a lot of colleges. So if you want the exact reviews and all, you can contact us. I would request the host to share the number. 8086111488 is the number. Okay. Now regarding the fees, okay, somebody was asking regarding the fees. So per year, the fees, if you're talking about IITs or if you're talking about NITs and all, the fees varies around 1.5 to 2 lakhs per year. Okay. And if you're talking about architecture colleges in Kerala, if it's government colleges, it will be somewhere around 8,200 rupees per year. And if you're talking about private colleges, again, these are all merit seats that I'm talking about. The fees would be in private colleges, the fees is somewhere around 80,000 rupees per year. Okay. Yes, Dr. Deepa, we've just shared the contact number 8086111488. So that is it about the fees. Now, regarding whether I'll get a scholarship or things like that, as I've said earlier, it depends upon the college. Like, for example, if you're talking about CEPT, there is means-based scholarship, there is merit-based scholarship that is provided in CEPT. So based on your score, based on all those things. So this is our last year topper, Tejas. Mr. Tejas was our last year topper in KEAM entrance exam. He scored somewhere around 130. He's one of the toppers in NATA exam also. So From what I remember, I think he had got 50 or 75% scholarship in CEPT. He's currently at CEPT. So it depends. It depends upon the score that you're getting. If you're getting some really good scores, then there is a good choice. Okay. Then this is CEPT. So we've already discussed about CEPT. Okay. So these are mainly the things that we had to talk about. If there are any further questions, please, if there's anything that we have missed out on, we have we have a couple of minutes more left. So if there are any further questions that left out on, please do let us know. Okay. We do provide coachings. We have weekend batches that we conduct. We have crash batches. We have online batches and all. So if you want to know about all those things, again, you can contact us at the number that we have provided, 8086111488. If there are any, we understand that there are also parents. So if there are any concerns that you want to talk about, you can please post it here. Okay, how long are the JEE and NATA scores valid for? They're only valid for the current year. So if you're writing it in this year, that's the only year in which it will be valid. There won't be any extra validity for those scores. Okay. JEE exams are conducted twice a year. NATA keeps on varying. Like last year, from what I remember, they conducted a couple of them, I guess. Couple of NATA exams were there. Last year, they decided on 2, but they conducted 3. This year, they are conducting 3. But ultimately, it's only for 1 year. The validity would only be for 1 year. Aisha, I hope I've answered your question. So any other questions that are pending, please do let us know. We would love to respond to this as much as possible, be it in English, Hindi, or Malayalam. Okay, which city is your institute available in? So we have our cities in, we have our institutes in Kerala. We are also present in Hyderabad. We've recently opened a branch in Hyderabad. In Kerala, we are there at Calicut, Malappuram, Thrissur, Trivandrum. Yes, Ernakulam, Cochin. Yeah, I missed out on that. Okay. Okay, Abhinav has a question. The NATA exams are conducted thrice. So can we choose marks of any of the 3 or the last one only? No, Abhinav. So this year, how it goes about is that if you're writing all the 3 exams, if you're writing all the 3 NATA attempts, then the best 2 will be taken and the average of that will be taken. Okay, so the highest 2 would be taken and the average of that would be taken, and that would be your NATA score. You also have the option of writing any 2 only. If you write only any 2, then the highest of that will be taken. And the third option is to write only any 1. And if you're writing only any 1, obviously only that would be taken. Okay, Sai Nikhil asks, is college fee of 8,200 for NATA qualified students only? Yeah, to get into KEAM B.Arch, to get a seat in the government architecture colleges, you need to qualify NATA in Kerala. It is mandatory. So yes, that is only for students who have qualified NATA. 70 out of 200 is what you have to get. Any further questions? Any further questions that you would like us to respond to, or anything that we have missed out on earlier? Please do let us know. Darshana asks how to get into JJ School of Architecture. Okay, so for JJ School of Architecture, there is a separate counseling program that's conducted by the Maharashtra Education Department. So with the same NATA scores, you have to apply to that, and based on the rankings that you're going to get there, based on that, they'll do the counseling. Okay. What are that government colleges? So Tsai Nikhil, I'm assuming that it is something related to Kerala B.Arch government colleges that you are asking, right? So in Kerala, you have 3 government colleges and 1 aided college. The government college would be College of Engineering, Trivandrum. Then you have Government Engineering College at Thrissur. Then you have RIT, that is Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Technology at Kottayam. These are the 3 government colleges. You have a very good aided college at TKM College of Engineering. That is from where Sachin sir had done his architecture. So these are the 4 colleges. Civil engineering or architecture, which is a better option? I think the best people to judge on that would be, it'll be based on what you want to do in your life, is something that is quite important. So I am a civil engineer. I'm happy about it. Sachin is an architect, and from the way in which he has communicated, I understand that he's quite happy about it. So I think it's ultimately what you want to do that really matters. So making an informed choice and understanding what they're going to do in the next 30, 40 years will be extremely helpful. So if you're happy with that, then you can definitely go ahead with that. Are the universities in Gulf countries approved and valid to get good jobs? Do they have less or more weightage compared to studying in India? So as Sachin sir had said earlier, if you're talking about working in India, you need to understand the landscape. You need to understand the history. You need to understand from where our architecture styles are coming up, even our behavioral patterns, how we use certain things, and all those things are important. So it's always an added advantage if you can do an architecture course from here and then practice here. So study in Kerala colleges or other state colleges, which is more valid? Nandana, there's nothing like more valid in that case. All these campuses are accredited by Council of Architecture. All of them are valid. Once you complete your architecture course, you can apply for a license. And once you get that, you can well ahead go and practice. In order to get into a college in India, we need to write both NATA and KEAM or KEAM only. Okay, just to clarify that myth, actually, in case of KEAM, KEAM does not conduct a separate architecture entrance exam. KEAM only has the entrance exams for engineering, so and pharmacy, I guess. So in case of architecture, they are taking the NATA's course. So you will have to write the NATA exam, and that's the only route through which you can go to the Kerala government colleges. Are all 3 NATA attempts over? So for this year, 2 NATA attempts are over, and the third one, I think the registration has got over already. So yes. Okay, just before we go to the concluding remarks, Sachin sir, is there any question that you want to address? Anything that you had missed out on, or can we go ahead?
Nothing from my side. Yes, Suraj, please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I think that would be it. We understand that there are still questions that are pending. So if there are any further questions, if you want to know about our batches, if you want to know about which are the courses that we are offering, I think we have briefly mentioned about the various types of courses. We have regular batches for 1 year. We have weekend batches. We have repeaters batches. We also have crash batches and all. So if you want to know further about that, you can contact us at the number that's been shared, 8086 111 488. Okay, and any further questions which we have missed out, probably in the middle of answering, or probably in the chat, probably we might have overlooked any particular questions and all, please feel free to contact us at the number that's provided, 8086 111 488. And to everyone who has, I found that some of the students were asking regarding the PPT and things like that. So we've done a parallel live also in YouTube. So you can go and watch the recordings. We would also let you know where the recording is and our YouTube channel and things like that. You can also DM us at Instagram. Okay, so Think Institute is where you can, is our Instagram ID. So you can contact us, you can DM us via there also. These are the various ways in which you can contact us. We hope that ultimately the objective of this particular session, which was actually spreading the knowledge, was something that was useful. Probably you might have got a little bit more awareness and things like that. If there are any further questions that we haven't answered, we would love to answer them. Okay, so I think that would be it. Thank you, Sachin sir. Thank you for joining in and giving this wonderful session. I think he's one among those who keeps on traveling. So I think we have finally happily made him caught on one weekend and made him do this session. Thanks a lot, Sachin sir, for joining. And thank you, host, and thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for joining in on a calm Sunday evening so that we could elaborate on all these things. Thank you, everyone. Hope that this session was useful. Hope that this session was useful for the students and also for the parents. If there are any further questions, we are always there. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, host.